just been told by producer Lee, it's a U2 song. That can't be. Tina Turner, Goldeneye, from the Pierce Brosnan Bond film, but no, they just don't compare to Daniel Craig. He's so good. Thank you for all the tweets about the bottle of champagne. Honestly, you've got to see it to believe it. On Twitter, Drive with Rob, a bottle of champagne, saw it on sale this morning, and it's on this glass plinth. It's about 10 foot high, this glass plinth, £7,000. And my wife's saying, give it a little nudge. I don't think so. It's called a Methuselah. Why do they give him such strange biblical names? Methuselah. At 6, I know it's 6 litres, it's a lot of champagne, but blimey, so £7,500. 08459 455 555. Coming up with the very latest on the Savile story and how the BBC Director General has been explaining himself to MPs today. Have you ever put big lumps of rock outside your home to stop people parking on the verges? Now, one man is calling for the council and police to remove all large objects from verges in Wickham. It follows the death of Jeremy Edwards, who was killed when his motorbike hit a boulder that had been deliberately moved onto the road. Darren Hayday, the former mayor of High Wycombe, says residents should be given plastic cones to stop it happening again. Darren joins us now. Evening, Darren.
Hello, Roberto.
Welcome to the programme, Darren. I mean, it is annoying when people park on the grass outside your house and they have horrible tyre marks that blocks your view, and I get all that. But you can understand why people would want to put out boulders, can't you?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And to be honest, you know, I would do the same myself if I was protecting a grass verge. I mean, the problem, obviously, here relates to a tragic death. And it's a freak occurrence, which, you know, still has happened. So I think that something should be done. What should be done? I've given it some sort of thought. I mean, one of the main problems is I think that nobody actually enforces to actually stop cars parking there. It's not sexy enough for the police to get involved. They're obviously more busy doing other things. And I think it should be dealt with by, in this case, Bucks County Council to enforce and perhaps to give fines for cars.
Well, isn't it illegal to park with two-wheel on the curb anyway?
Well, it is. However, I think it's a bylaw which I cannot remember how many years ago a car or a person was fined. But I do know, although we have signs up around the place, that it's never enforced at all.
And am I right in understanding, Darren, that your car hit a boulder in the snow as well?
Yeah, again, it was snowing. I was driving along. I was trying to make way for another car coming down, and all of a sudden there's a big bang, which caused a lot of damage to my car. And I did try, because I knew, being a councillor before, the Bucks County Council do have some legal obligation to grass verges. They tend to actually own the property themselves. But when I did write in to put a claim in, they basically stonewalled me and said it's not their fault, it's the fault of the actual resident themselves.
Darren, I mean, this thing has come up, not just because I know it's an issue that has been around for a while, but also because, you know, it follows the death of Jeremy Edwards, who was killed on his motorbike, hit a boulder that had been deliberately moved into the road. Yeah. I mean, what happened to Jeremy was dreadful, but the boulder had been moved into the road itself. That's not the fault of the homeowner, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, again, you know, it's not the fault of the homeowner, of course not. It's one of these freak occurrences where, in this situation, it seems, as I understand it, that some person picked up this rock for their entertainment or for whatever, and very carelessly left it in the middle of the road, where Jeremy came along the next morning and unfortunately died. I mean, you do not hear of stories like this happening. I mean, you could have the freak occurrence of something falling off of, say, a moving lorry. And in this case, obviously, somebody with their actions. I mean, when you're riding along on a motorbike, you do keep an eye out for oil spillages or, you know, obstructions in the road. But the last thing you would think of at 6:30 in the morning is to see a great big boulder in front of you. So, obviously, the only person in this case to blame is the person that placed it in the middle of the road.
Look, you want to see objects removed and replaced with plastic cones, of course. Won't they just make it more difficult because, you know, people move them about, people steal them, and people just have fun with them, it would seem?
Well, not so much in regard to the ones that you move away. And again, I mean, it's just an idea to put out there. But you do actually see the plastic cones that are embedded within the grass itself. And Bucks County Council do provide these cones in parts of Sands in High Wycombe. particularly to stop cars parking on match days when there's the football going on at Wycombe Wanderers or at the Wasps on the rugby side. Whether that's a good idea, I do not know. Whether somebody could put up, these own barriers, the metal poles to stop cars parking there is an idea. But one way that I think could stop this problem is by removing all the current objects, like these boulders along Dawes Hill Lane as an example, and also actually having some law, having some teeth where cars will be fined by Bucks County Council.
Well, isn't that a better solution? I mean, the idea of having plastic cones, they'll just get stolen. People put them on their heads or stick them in a neighbour's hedge, for example. The only way to do it is to actually enforce the bylaws, which says you cannot park with two wheels on the curb anyway.
No, exactly. Giving it further thought since the week or so that I wrote the letter, I think that is a better solution, and I have had the chance to speak to other people. They also agree that, to stop cars from parking there, I mean, come on, give them a fine. You get fined for parking on double yellow lines, why not for parking on grass verges?
Darren, pleasure talking to you. A busy night tonight in Wycombe. You're entertaining Barnet.
Oh, right, okay.
Stick the cones out if you got them, because we keep parking guests. And it's because last night I bumped into Edgar Davids in my supermarket.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Fantastic bloke. Darren, I wish you well. Darren Hayday, former Mayor of High Wycombe. If you're going to the game tonight, enjoy it. Commentary highlights, of course, on 3 Cannon Sport. I'll give you the details very, very shortly, but a busy night of local action, and you can hear all our local sports news from 7.